What's up, SD Racing family? Welcome back to the channel. Today in the dyno we've got Giro's Seirra Denali.
The pain inside, don't wanna feel it.
So we've tuned Giro's truck a couple times now. The first time I was here, he had a K&N Intake, a Katech Throttle Body, and we installed a set of Texas Speed Longtubes and a catback exhaust. Last time I was here, we also added a DSX Tuning Flex Fuel kit to the truck. We made close to, I think it was 390 horsepower, 435 foot-pounds of torque with about 60 to 65% ethanol. This time he's got a Gwatney Performance ported intake manifold that we just installed on the truck, and we're going to get tuning here shortly. There aren't any real expectations as far as Gwatney is concerned with what they have on their website, expected gains or anything like that. So we expect some pretty good gains. I'm not going to say what my expectation is right now horsepower wise, but I'm going to see if it comes true. So we're going to get tuned in here and see what we can get out of it.
Inside my cup and I just sip till I can't feel it. I know it won't solve my problem, but I know it makes a difference. One more sip and I'ma fix it. Out my body when I'm tempted. I told her one more, she hit me say you quit or she did, babe. Yeah. I don't want pain no more. I don't want no more. Look at that, no pain. See the rain coming down, but it is not purple today. Came a long way from stacking and rolling that change. And all I ever wanted was some real love. Then I iced it on my heart, I watched it build up. My bro, he stayed with Tuesday Bob to build up. And I feel
Alright, we finished up with that first pull. We made 409 horsepower and 449 foot-pounds of torque. So last time I was here, we made 390, 435. Now, that was at 60 to 65% ethanol in the tank. Right now, as it stands in the computer, it's got about 77% ethanol. So we're going to get a little power bump from that as well. So, we're 12 to 17% more ethanol in the tank than before, plus the intake manifold. So it's not really the best apples to apples comparison. Now, I'm going to tell you 12% ethanol is not going to make that much of a difference on the same vehicle, especially a naturally aspirated vehicle with no other parts changed than a intake manifold. So we know the manifold's doing its job. A little bit of ethanol is give us a little bit more boost. So let me get the graph up here. So that's what the graph looks like compared to. Let's see. A lot of names to scroll through here. So like I said, 390 horse, 435 torque, the last one. Let me just, don't need to show everybody all the names that are on here, if I can find it. Here we go. And so, sorry about that. So the dotted run here previously was our, hold on, sorry, wrong pull. That was a foobarred one. I wanted to downshift on me on the last one. So let's see, this one. So the lower line, let me change the color there so you can see it a little bit better. That green one was before, the red one is now. So if you can see, we got real good gains up here. So if it was just the ethanol making a difference, or helping us out with more power than the intake manifold, I would expect it to be a uniform gain all the way across. But our bigger gains you see as we go up the RPM range gets larger and larger. So that means the intake manifold is doing its job. It's breathing a lot better with that throttle body. We told them from the start, really anybody a ported throttle body or larger throttle body without a ported intake manifold or larger intake manifold is not gonna, you're gonna get very, very small gains. But those are two parts that need to be done as one to get the maximum benefit out of them. So we're gonna let the truck cool down, take a look at the log, see if we can make any more out of it. Haven't looked at the AFR trace yet, haven't looked at the timing, so we'll see if it can take a little bit more, and if it can, we'll do that on the next one.
So I pour up inside my cup and I just sip till I can't feel it. I know it won't solve my problem, but I know it makes a difference. One more sip and I'ma fix it. Out my body when I'm tempted. I told her and blues, I'll give my kids a change. Don't call me, I said for none unless you do the same. I wanna catch as fast as that and I don't do no range. Yeah. All I ever wanted was a million.
Alright, we are finished with our second pull, which coincidentally is going to be our last pull. So, previous pull we made 409 horse, 449 torque. Looked at the log, airfield was right where we wanted it to be. Wanted to see if it would take another degree of timing. Made 411 horse and 446 torque, so we lost 3 foot-pounds of torque, but only picked up 2 horsepower. So we're going to go back to exactly what we had in the computer before. So 409 horse, 449 torque, compared to 390 horse, 435 torque. So we picked up 19 horsepower and what was that? 14 foot-pounds of torque. So in the beginning I said I wasn't going to speculate on what I thought we could get out of it since we already had a larger throttle body on it anyways. My feeling was we were going to pick up around 10 or so horsepower and torque, which is right around where we got. Again, there's no telling. We didn't do a baseline pull with the ethanol content it had in there at the beginning. So yes, the ethanol had a little bit to play with it, but again, as I showed you before, the intake manifold in the higher RPM range is really the telltale that it is working. So 409 horsepower, 435 or 449 foot-pounds of torque. But here's what the graph looked like on this last pull. So again, we're going to pull that degree of timing back out since it only made 2 horsepower. It's not really worth it to have it in there. And send the truck on its way. So again, 19 horsepower, 14 foot-pounds of torque. Pretty good gain, I'd say. Now, is it worth it for the price? That's really up to you and each individual to determine that. Yes, it is a pretty steep price, especially if you're getting an intake manifold that's already ported as opposed to sending yours off. Is it worth it? Again, naturally aspirated, it's going to be a lot harder to make horsepower and make gains naturally aspirated than it is with turbo supercharger. Now, would this manifold work well with some more mods? Absolutely, especially with a cam. A good size cam on this, and the gains would be a lot more. Especially a stock intake manifold versus a ported one. So again, modifications on any vehicle are a package deal. The more supporting modifications you have for the big power adders that you got, the better overall power and power delivery you're going to have. So naturally aspirated with just bolt-ons. Again, this truck, 420 horse, 440 torque is what they're rated from factory. Now, and that's to the crank. So this last pull here, if we do approximate crank horsepower values, 484 horse and 528 foot-pounds of torque. So if you'll see here, that is what our approximate crank numbers are. These are the correct ones, so 484 and a half and 528. So almost 65 horsepower and almost 90 foot-pounds of torque to the crank more with what's on this truck. So in my opinion, money well spent. And again, everything, he's been building everything in stages and whatnot. So we did the long tubes, he had the intake throttle body and the cat back at first. then we added flex fuel. Now we've added the ported intake manifold. So again, when he decides to do a cam, that manifold is going to really help us out as well as the throttle body. So again, very, very good gain. So 409 horse, 449 torque. We appreciate you stopping by and watching the video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We hope to see you again. Y'all have a good one.
All I ever wanted was some children. Then I got 4 of them kids and now we chillin'. Nothing's real.